which is harder than you might think. You know, a medical show tells medical stories and is involved with surgeries, and let me move my chair over a little bit here. So in private practice, rather than looking at just what an interesting case is or what a cool medical procedure would be, we're always concerned about what the ethical debate is. What is the ethical debate? What is it that people will be discussing and talking about, we hope, the next day? For example, in this, it was, can you force a child to have chemo if it's against their religious beliefs? We've done stories about, can you counsel a man to leave his wife if a brain tumor she has is causing her now to beat him? Or if a woman gives birth to twins and they both have cancer, but there's only cord blood to save one, which child do you save? So we're much more interested in looking at the gut-wrenching decisions than the particularly cool medicine, which is one of the reasons why Hollywood Health and Society is such a great resource for us. At the beginning of each season, HHS sends over a series of different speakers. We have an ethicist come and talk to us about what the hot topics are that people are discussing. We have gynecologists, in vitro specialists, neurosurgeons come and tell us things that are interesting in the medical field. In addition, what that gives us is the ability, much in the way that we've had here, is to have people tell us their stories. Everybody has a story that they want to tell, and everyone is interested in letting people know what they get excited about. So in addition to the medicine, we'll ask the neurosurgeon, what was the most difficult case you ever had? What is the hardest decision you've ever had to make as a doctor? And out of those things, we get terrific stories, as well as, interestingly enough, sort of breakthroughs for several of the doctors. I wrote an episode this season that dealt with late-term abortion, and we were discussing this with the gynecologist, and clearly she's done several of these, and the medical of it was straightforward, but emotionally it was very difficult for her to discuss, and she subsequently sent us an email saying it was extraordinary to be able to talk about it, a medical issue, as it relates to you personally, because doctors don't normally do that with each other. The fact that we're allowed to do that and put that on television is really quite amazing. We feel a great responsibility in the writer's room at Private Practice in not only telling entertaining stories, which is the only reason we're on the air, but to be true to the medical information that we're giving. Because, as Sandra said, so many people are watching the show, and so many people are using this as a basis for discussion. One of the writers in the room shared a story about how her mother was having some gynecological issues and had been to see two doctors about what the best treatment would be and what surgery would be. So the writer was talking to her mother, and her mother said, "I just wish I could talk to Addison about this," which was a little alarming, but also very instructive about how careful you need to be about the things that you say on television. I've been in discussions with network executives where we had an ALS storyline that was depressing. ALS is not a fun disease, and the exec actually said, "Isn't there a way we can give this a happy ending?" And I said, I'm sorry, are you asking me to cure ALS on network television? I said, well, it doesn't have to be a complete cure. And those are the kind of discussions that you want to be able to have the information that Sandra's group provides, to provide statistics so that you can say, we're not going to do that, and this is in fact why. The abortion story that I referenced a little while ago was a very, very hot topic for the network. They were extremely worried about it, and we did the storyline because Shonda Rhimes, who created the show, is on the board of Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood in the United States right now is a group that's really under siege, and she wanted to use the power of her television show to get a message across about women taking responsibility and women feeling empowered to make a choice. And it was the most, as Zoanne said, when you're on a successful show, and it's been on for several years, the studio don't really push back much. This was the most I'd ever seen the network push back, and they were terrified. And one of the ways we got around that is by having the kind of statistics that a group like Hollywood Health and Society could provide us. So if they could see the information and know that it wasn't just things we were making up, it put them a little bit more in their comfort zone. One of the amazing things about having been here this week, apart from the warmth of the people and the openness with which people have talked to us, is seeing how television is everywhere. Even in the most dire circumstances of people who have nothing, of people who are in extreme poverty, they have televisions. That's made me feel an even more great responsibility to be accurate about these things. I mean, this isn't just something that you can or should toss off. So when we do something like a rape episode that we did this season, one of our main characters was raped in her own hospital. The amount of mail we got on this afterwards was extraordinary. Women telling us, I was raped, but I didn't go to the doctor because I was afraid, but having seen the steps and having seen how it wasn't as frightening as I thought it would be, I'm going now, and thank you, and I'm getting counseling now, and thank you, which is an amazing thing. I mean, it's not often that you can do something that you can see have those sorts of benefits, and now that I'm getting ready to get the stop talking now sign, I'll stop. So thank you.
Jennifer, I'm just going to ask one question, but you talked a little bit about the creative process, but I'm wondering what life experiences have really informed your work or inspired you to create stories around them?
Well, one of the amazing joys of being a writer is not only being able to, I mean, you hear a lot of people say, write what you know, which is true enough. But it's also seeing how much it means to you to tell your own story. It gives you, it opens your eyes to how important it is to hear other people's stories. This week when we've been talking to people, I've been asking people all sorts of questions about their lives. What are your dreams for the future? What is your favorite thing here? What is the hardest thing for you in a day? And people who will be reticent because I'm a stranger and I'm new to your country and I don't speak the language will open up because everybody has a story to tell. Everybody wants to tell their story. So it's very helpful to be in a situation like this and see other ways of looking at things and bring those stories back. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but
I think you did. That was brilliant. Thank you. Thanks so much, Jennifer. And I'd like to move back in order to Amole Gupte. You didn't hear us introduce you, but we did introduce you, and so you don't get to hear your own introduction, but we're so glad you were able to join us, and we understand that you have a new film coming out, and would love to hear about it, and see a clip of your work, and hear you for about 5 minutes.
So would you like to see the clip first, or
Let's see the clip.
should I yak?
We can start with the clip, that'd be great.
Okay.
Would you like to set it up, introduce it at all?
तेरे हाथ में क्या है दिखाओ दिखा शी
लाइफ बहुत सिंपल है
Big hand for him and a jug.
मत बोल
वापस करो स्टैनली वापस करो टिफिन बॉक्स कहाँ है तुम्हारा
ये भाई हमेशा दूसरों के डब्बे में हाथ डाल के खाता है, क्या है?
आलू पराठा।
लाओ जरा।
जल्दी से इसको चख ले, चटकारे लेके डोल।
स्टैनली, मैं तुमसे बात कर रहा हूं, नजर ऊपर, ऊपर देख। चल, देख, बाहर निकल, गेट आउट।
अगर मैं अभी सरप्राइज बताऊंगा तो सरप्राइज कैसे रहेगा?
देखो एक नन्ही सी जान, मील के पत्थर को फाड़, दिल में कुछ करने की आन, बस इतना लेके चल पड़ी। देखो एक नन्ही सी जान
डब्बा, स्टैनली का डब्बा।
That's tomorrow. Friday the 13th May, tomorrow. Feeling like a nicely pregnant mother, and let's have it. I hope they accept it. But that is besides the point. If we don't mutton shop it as a film, which has trade as its background and so many pockets and so many centers and so many eyeballs and all that. But if one sees it in its real requirement, or why was it created, then it goes to certain political truths. Essentially, one is addressing hunger this time, and would like to take it deep inside. This hunger rose from actually my soulmate and my wife and my better half, Deepa Bhatia's own film about hunger again, about the farmers' suicides, and about inequality. So there is so much to be done and so much to be shown that it kind of stops you from looking at it as a product. So then what is it? I would say that media is very, very active now. Since 91 we've had sea change. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have buttered all the toasts. Children especially, because I see children working at the rate of more than 12 hours a day in reality shows and feature films and advertising films. And this is very disconcerting, because the truth is that if you have an animal in your film in India, then you need to have an animal welfare board person. It's mandatory to have him sitting there and watching. Are you being cruel to the dog? But there's nobody for the child. On the contrary, you have mothers and fathers cash cowing their children and bringing them systematically out of the system. Which means if you have a 1.5 month schedule, a film schedule, then the child misses school, then they kind of just peg it like a story that the tutor was there. But what was the tutor doing? Because the child was working for 12 hours, and then after that you expect him to learn math and science and try and be a bright boy when he goes back to school. Well, that's not happening, because it's not about the academics that the child is losing. It is about the bonding with same age friends that is kind of leaving him or her. So I decided that I must, if I have to address, for instance, hunger, and if I have to do it with children as my protagonists, then there has to be a system laid out which might kind of dissolve all doubts from the media and from practitioners that it is this is a logistical nightmare. So I said, let me attempt a logistical nightmare. So I chose it should be in a single place, which means you have to write a screenplay the way all children can participate if I were to open it as a theatre, cinema and art session in a school. So I thought that's a good idea. I wrote the script, keeping in mind that I am going to be inside one school. That was good. Part 2 was only on Saturdays, which are holidays for that school, and only at the rate of 4 hours on a Saturday morning, like a rehearsal if the children go and do plays and do concerts in their school. So keep it at that level, but only on Saturdays. And from Saturday to Saturday, and some vacation days, we had Diwali, we had Christmas, we had summer vacations, we used some of those days as well, but at the rate of 4 hours and with 2 recesses, 2 breaks. So that's where the dabba comes in. Dabba means lunch box for the non-Indian. For the Indian, it's tiffin box. So this tiffin box is the metaphor, and I give you one tiffin box and you bring one of your own. So about 170 children voluntarily participated in this workshop, if you may call that, though there was no work done and it wasn't shop. Sessions, we can say. And in these sessions, we kind of did some breathing exercises, some voice exercises, some eye contact exercises. Sometimes a Majidi film played, then we discussed it. Or a Chaplin film played and we discussed it. And some days we shot with a 7D camera, which is like what she has in her hand. So that's about it, what we brought into the classroom of voluntarily participating children who may not turn up next Saturday, but it's okay. You want to come back again the 3rd Saturday, it's okay. If you want to leave right now, it's okay. So it was that kind of an exercise, and we finally created Stanley Ka Dabba, which is a feature film which will release tomorrow. Fox has been smart enough to pick it up. And that's that. Would you want to ask a couple of questions? Because like I'm running. I have just come from Pune. I've come straight here. And these are birth pangs for the mom. That's me. So I'd like to.
What we're actually doing is we'd like to ask you one follow-up question, and then we're going to open it up after everybody has a chance to speak.
Great.
That be okay? Would you like to ask it?
I will not be asking the question. I'll just give you some information. A little boy who's played the main role in the film is none other than his son. And he's done a brilliant job.
Well, it's an amazing trailer. I hope that you'll invite us to a screening.
Sure.
Thank you. We have another Hollywood children's program creator and director with us, so I'm sure I could see his eyes flashing as you were speaking. Thank you so much. It's obviously brilliant work, and I'm wondering, in the films you create, clearly this has a very strong social theme, but it's also a dramatic film. And I'm wondering how you balance the entertainment value and the social message.
You can entertain a person by making the person, like for instance, there was a politically incorrect film and there was a politically correct film in a film festival. It was the same amount of people with the same badges and those cards who saw the politically incorrect film and laughed from beneath, which was so brazen and male-ish, if I may say that word. And the same lot the next day came and celebrated Vera Chitilova's traps, and they laughed at the correct jokes, which were politically correct, also entertaining. So it depends what you want to bring out. In this case, the screenplay was an aside. Actually, we do it with our left hand. I have children as lean and small as 9 without a roof on their heads who write wonderful screenplays in a shelter where we have now entered our 4th year of cinema studies in Asima, which is Pali Chimbai Municipal School and Santa Cruz Municipal School. So it's not a rocket science, first of all. And those who plead that it is are terribly insecure that others might come in and kind of sit in. So that's where we are. So if you're asking about intent, well, with just intent in your mind and your heart, you can put that best foot forward. I think that's your answer.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to continue to Vinta Nanda. And Vinta, would you like to set up your clip?
It's working. Well, at first, let me thank you, Sandra, for this amazing panel and, making me a part of the panel. It's great to be in such amazing company, of people who've done such lovely work. At the time when I had started, written my first, at that time that I wrote my first soap opera, which turned out to be one of the most popular soap operas, which ran almost for 5 years. Before that, I was fortunate that I had already made a few documentaries in partnership with UNICEF and USAID and various other NGOs like Voluntary Health Association of India. And I'd started writing my first commercial venture like Tara with so much of overwhelming information inside my inside my head about the health issues that Indians face, and in large number of Indians face. And they're more complicated, although they are much simpler to the health issues that we've been hearing about, like cancer and AIDS and, of course, other bigger health problems that your stories deal with. Because it's as simple as malnutrition, their deaths because of diarrhea, malaria, because of lack of prenatal and postnatal care. And the numbers of people who die in this country